grazie appunto per essere qua a quest'ora del pomeriggio soleggiato. Allora, chiederei ai nostri ospiti di fare una mini introduzione. Mi presento io sono Anna Zo, sono co-direttrice di un festival che si chiama Linecheck Music Meeting and Showcase Festival. È un evento che è una Music Conference and Showcase Festival che succede da 10 anni la terza settimana di novembre qua a Milano, in uno spazio che si chiama Base Milano. È fondamentalmente una music conference in cui si affrontano diversi temi legati all'ecosistema musicale e in particolare quest'anno stiamo sviluppando, parliamo sempre molto di innovazione e di nuove tecnologie. Quest'anno avremo tutto un summit, quindi tutto un track tematico sul tema del Web3 che stiamo curando con Spaghetti e con tanti altri partner che saranno anche presenti all'evento, e quindi diciamo che la presentazione di questo panel anche oggi è un piccolo teaser di quello che poi verrà snocciolato ampiamente a novembre all'interno del nostro evento. Quindi se vi interessa la musica sicuramente si parlerà molto di più. Oggi è giusto appunto un piccolo spoiler. Va bene. Prego, a voi, un'introduzione. Chi siete?
Grazie.
Non quello che c'è scritto.
Non quello che c'è scritto. Allora, poi ci passeremo il microfono, immagino. Okay. Ciao a tutti, sono Federico Caon, manager di Outsoon Collective, che è un collettivo indipendente su Milano. E di base ci piace definirci quasi più uno studio di design, nel senso che nell'ottica di collaborare con vari artisti e creativi nel settore ci siamo accorti di quanto la progettazione e l'ideazione fosse un po' il motore dei progetti e della costruzione delle community attorno agli artisti. Quindi questo è quello su cui poi ci siamo basati per seguire effettivamente alcuni degli artisti con cui lavoriamo.
Inglese? All right. I'll do it in English for you. No.
Someone else joining you speak English? Non-Italian English?
Okay. Hey everyone. My name is Andrea. I work at Story. Story is the world's IP blockchain. So what we try to do is modernize a very antiquated and slow part of everything that happens let's say around media, right? Everything that gets created is intellectual property, and today to register intellectual property, to license intellectual property is a very slow process. And so we want to make it permissionless. We want to make it easy for any artist to register intellectual property and set their terms, and hopefully modernize this very old system. And we can get into how we're doing it later, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
My name is Matteo. I'm one of the co-founders of Spaghetti, which is an activation and education and public good collective that started the many city-based realities, including ETHMilan 2 years ago. And this is mostly like volunteering work that we do with Maria and Francesco. And also this year we're exploring the sibling conference format with Linecheck. Else, I work with, stay capital, I forget, sometimes I forget. So I work in the DeFi ecosystem, investigative journalist, but I think I'm here mostly as a musician. I have explored Web3 tech while releasing music in many forms. Some of them worked interestingly, some less, but maybe we can talk about that later.
Hi, I'm Livio. I'm the co-founder of Yomi, a Web3 agency, and Mego Tickets. Mego Tickets is a decentralized ticketing platform, and we do, of course, ticketing for events, such musical events or such conference and so on. And then I'm also a musician and a founder of another agency, a management and booking agency in the music industry.
Okay, that's really cool because we have a different roster of speakers that like like come from the Web3 space, but also from the music industry. Some are a mix, so I think it's going to be very interesting to dive into each of the different profiles. Just a quick check on the audience, like who's working or doing anything with music, like who's from the considered from the music space. Okay, 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 okay. So it's a good, and the rest of you is like more Web3 mix. Okay, cool. Good. So maybe I would start by asking Andrea and Livio. So you apply solutions to the music sector or to the creative space in general, which aim at, let's say, solving a specific pain point or challenge of the music sector. In your case, it's more like related to the IP space. In your case, it's more related to the live sector and ticketing. So I'm wondering, like, really basically explaining how does your solution work and why blockchain is implemented and is used in this case, and why could it be done without it?
Sure. So today, the IP space, first of all, IP today has a very high threshold. So to consider something intellectual property, we don't think of anything that we create as intellectual property. We just think of, oh, our most important pieces or things that I go the extra mile to register somewhere in a governmental office is intellectual property. And to enforce that intellectual property is also pretty expensive and requires a lot of resources. But really, anything that comes out of the human mind in some way or form, whether it's human-made, whether it's from an AI model using a prompt, whether it's from a musical instrument, is all intellectual property. And so practically what we're trying to do is make it easy for anyone to register it without needing to, as easily as you would save an image. So you finish writing a piece of music, you finish writing your tracks of music, you can register them on Story either through the apps that integrate with Story. We're still on testnet, so we do have a lot of applications, but the real stuff is coming later this year. You can register it on Story, and I'll give you a practical example in just a second. And you can set your license terms. And the reason why blockchain, going back to your question, is it's open. It's an open ledger for anyone to read, right? And the cool thing about the internet today is it's made for remixing. Everyone reuses, remixes, collages, reinterprets everything that gets created every day. And the way that they do it today is illegally, right? Because you don't really have the time to go and license everything that you see. You don't know who to contact. You don't know who you have to reach out to. You don't have lawyers to meet and say, oh, can I use your content? What's the revenue share? Blah, blah, blah. But what if, as the artist, you can register your content and you can say, here are the upfront terms, right? Here's what you can, if you want to use my content, here are the terms. If you want to use it for non-commercial reasons, here are the terms. If you want to use it for commercial reasons, here are the terms. So anyone who wants to license your content legally knows exactly what they need to do without having to contact you. Now, a practical example, it's not in the music space, but an application that we're working with is called Magma. It's like Figma, but for artists, so a collaborative painting tool. And they have 3 million users, right? And rather than having the artist finish a piece of work and then go somewhere else to register, they're working with Story to integrate it. So as soon as they finish creating a piece of art, from Magma, they can go to File, Register Artwork, right? And that happens seamlessly behind the scenes. And what happens is it gets registered, the artists choose the license terms either through a template or customizing every single term if they want to, in easy to understand language. And then they have a immutable, again, why blockchain, immutable source of attribution saying on this date, this was registered, this is mine, and if you want to use it, here are the conditions. So really lowering the barriers to registering something and being able to enforce it.
Thanks.
Okay. Why we choose the blockchain? Because Mego is a product from a software house focused on Web3, on blockchain. So we believe in the decentralization, and we developed this tool. At the beginning, Mego was created to manage events and sell tickets. And then we discovered that a ticket, and decentralized ticket can be more than just an access to an event. And then we changed this platform using the same technology to do a lot of stuff, such as a fan token, our digital twin. So, and also Migo can allow to create, to deliver a lot of token-gated digital object. So you can buy a ticket for an event, and then the organizer can share some stuff, just if we are here, a presentation or so, just to the attendees. There are some problems in the come cazzo si dice, la diffusione, the diffusion, okay, sorry, the diffusion of the this technology, but we can talk about this later. This is why we choose Web3, because of the decentralization and.
Is your system work like you have already? Is your system used by event organizer? Is it up and running? Okay. And how would you say is the like which are your main clients or adopters? Is it in the music or is it more like in other?
No, it's not in music.
It's not in music
because to operate in Italy there are a lot of problems. Because for ticketing service, you have to be recognized by CI, the Collector Society, and then Agenzia delle Entrate. And then it's an hard road to achieve the license to sell ticket. So we work a lot with the events, such as most of the crypto conference in Italy and all around Europe using Migo tickets. But not in music.
Okay, we'll go back to this.
Just like Eventbrite. Eventbrite can sell ticket for music events.
Yeah. Okay, we'll definitely go back to this point later. Matteo, I can ask you like I'm asking you with your hat of musician. I know you have many hats, but try to put the one of musicians now. Exactly. With of course like experience and knowledge in the Web3 space. So I'm curious about how over the years of your proximity to Web3 and blockchain, but also being a musician, you have merged also practically these two worlds, and why are you combining these two interests rather than being passionate about it?
I think everything started, I was in Berlin, I was living the musician life with a bar job and all shitty jobs while playing for bands, having the studio, blah, blah, blah. And since I was born in '82, I'm a bit reluctant to use Instagram on a massive basis, like too much. I'm still old style video clips, stuff like that, etc. And I felt that there was something broken between the pact of musicians with their audience. It's like the magical veil that you once had was kind of every musician was like competing to have the best exposure to the audiences, and sort of, okay, I acknowledged that, and I said, okay, where is the value of my music? Is it in streams? Then you go and see the stats for streams and how much they pay you and how much you have to do in order to reach a sustainable income. And this is like going mental. You have to be a web agency to basically pull yourself out of that. Given that you have to spend some money during the year to produce music, at least if you do it independently, maybe it's 5K, 10K, but still, you know, it's quite big money. And many people do that. Many people just do that just to be there, and many people try to get streams just to be on the spot. But their business model is broken. At the end of the year, they have invested way more than they can accrue. If they have success, they can have tours, etc., but they have their own budgeting, you know, paying the musicians, gas, hotels, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of money that goes. So I approached Web3 in a different way when I was in Berlin, etc., and I started working around the Ethereum ecosystem. And then I started, actually, I don't want to be falsely modest, but I did my own version of a dividend contract in 2018 with NFTs before there was the whole music royalties, blah, blah, blah. And the whole thing was quite easy. There was a store, a sort of website that allowed you to copy and tailor contracts. So I had this dividend contract that's basically a smart contract that creates a supply of ERC20 tokens, so fungible tokens. The contract is payable, so it receives money from a source, and depending on how many tokens you have, you can just go to the contract and pull. So no staking, nothing. It's just I own 10, I get my percentage of 10 from the dividend contract. And I connected this dividend contract to a deposit of an NFT that I had created, a single. And the experiment was quite successful. I had like 20 holders that in time, like maybe someone was in Thailand and I said, okay, pass their song in the local Thai radio station, and they did, etc. But you know, the link is broken between having major platforms or social places connecting to these contracts, which I think now today is a bit more easy to do. It's just tooling. And then I tried more DeFi protocols to have basically my single as a liquidity pool where people would stake some ETH and get royalties of the next upcoming single. So I like to apply existing protocols to music release, but I would say the most successful one was probably the first, because I really got traction in that. Everything else was just a test. And I still believe in the technology. I still think that it pulls value, because right now music value is streams or cachet when you go play outside, but cachet is always like up to, hey, can I play? How much is it? And then if there are 10 people showing up, you know, it goes down. It's not like a fixed contract. So I kept on wondering where we can pull value outside of the music ecosystem. And I still do. I mean, I still try to research which is the best community type, if it's a radio, if it's a label, if it's a single artist doing that, if it's just a collective of music passionate following a given musician and doing work for this person. So
yeah, I think that's a big issue of the music space. Like, where do you take value? Like, how to valorize the value that is actually created? And I'm also positive that this technology could be actually as much.
Can I just add?
Yeah, of course.
So the dividend contract that you were talking about, that's exactly how Story works. Okay. So you register your IP. No, you give me 5 years. So you register an IP and it creates an NFT, right? And there's a token-bound account, and that token-bound account has royalty tokens. 100 million of them, right? And so you can have very fine-grained control of who has what percentage of the royalty pool, and you can distribute. You can disperse them however you want, and then yeah, any revenue goes into the royalty pool, and then people can. So, anyways.
See, they made a company out of it. Why didn't you? Was
so let's
drunk
talk
in
after.
Berlin. Fede, I'm very happy that you're here, actually, because you do so many things in the music industry, like management, event, like very close to the recording industry. So I think it's very good to have like the perspective of someone that really has the hands on the field in different spaces. And my question is like, but of course you also have an eye towards like new solutions and innovations, and you realize like many challenges that the music industry is like facing right now. So how do you see from the other side? So not from the tech experts or like innovators side, but like from the day-to-day independent scene, music management agency, like how do you see that this technology is perceived? Do you see anything actually happening? Do you have any nice examples of curiosity or even just like hints of connection between actual traditional music ecosystem? And I don't want to call it traditional in a negative way, but you know what I mean.
It is. Thank you. So, first of all, I'm an economic guy, so I'll be on the side of strategy and how to use technologies to perform money and most of art. But I'm I love art, and that's why I decided to go for management and organization. So when I see those technologies, I think about the way that the artist can use to be independent in a way which is using those technologies or in general the law to reach their rights, yes, their rights and use their rights to create money for them and create money for their music, because nowadays the traditional way is to find money from the labels, and finding money from the labels is first of all difficult because most of the artists are independent and small artists, and the other difficult thing is it seems that you are always a startupper. So you create a presentation and you put all your songs in a playlist, and then goes to the and then you go to the label and try to explain why your project is nice. As I started working and founded the collective with 4 other guys, which are 2 artists, 1 producer, and a fashion designer, we understood that the main aspect of the creative side of the music is the community that loves your art and wants you to be great. So I started understanding, doing some projects with them, like events or release, that the most important thing is not to have the money, which are important, of course, to pay the people that works for you, but it's not in the creative side. It's not important to have the money to gain people, but it's important to be as relaxed as you can to make the greatest art as you can. I don't know if it's understandable. So the people want you to perform. I also found this study that says, that is, I think is known from most of the people, that says that if you have 1,000 people that wants to pay for your art, you can be free as an artist, because if you have, in 1 year, if you have 1,000 people paying $100 for all your contents and events and merchandising, songs, whatever, and we all spend 100 euros during our normal life for art. That artist can be free from everything because he can, he is sustainable. This is the main way we're trying to see the industry right now. So we all work in the traditional way because it's the only way we can stay in the process somehow. But that's the vision, and that's why we are all connecting and we are collective. This is the first. One of the, I want to reconnect to one of the things that Matteo said, which is that you start understanding that if you have someone, I mean, it can only, the streams are the only thing that brings money, but if we have people bringing the money to the project, we are free. And I think that those technologies are important to make this happening. And there is a startup in Holland, and I started talking with them because they only implemented the blockchain system to redistribute the money from the royalties. So it's a normal distribution, and the money goes, and the music goes to the normal platforms, but then the money is redistributed from blockchain on their app. And this is interesting because the real problem for the artist to understand the new technologies is the way the money goes. I mean, yes, the money come to them. Is the way to understand it is difficult because they are built in the traditional way, and the traditional way makes them think that the only way to create money is to go to the label. So the most important process is to make them understand how the money goes and how the money is a circle in this process.
That's interesting because I think like the vision that you share, like the importance between like the artist or the event or like the let's say the creator of something and the community, the fan community, and the engagement that you can have with people wanting to go to your event or wanted to listen to your music or wanted to watch your paintings. I think that's definitely the challenge, and I think that's also the purpose of how the blockchain technology is trying to cut a little bit the process and support this kind of this connection. So the original title of this panel, which I don't know why they cut it to me, and I'm very disappointed by that, was Musica and Blockchain, questo matrimonio non sa da fare, which is a famous quote from Manzoni, Promessi Sposi, that basically means music and blockchain, they will never get married. They cannot get married. So going back to this, which was censored, I don't know why they did that. I thought it was funny. My question to you all, of course, like I think the barriers for you are different because like the barriers in the ticketing system is different from the barriers from the royalties management and from the artistic point of view or from the, like traditional value chain of the music sector. But like, what's your experience in this sense? Like why, I don't know, like, but I really always have this comparison. Why when we have AI, everyone talking about AI, you have 20,000 startups developing solutions with AI, everyone investing in AI, everyone valorizing and using their algorithms and recommendation system, and everyone seems to be loving it and adopting it like this. And why with blockchain, this has not really happened outside of that small bubble of hype that we had like a few years ago, and that kind of, in my opinion, made only bad to the system and did not help at all, like the development, the adoption of this technology. So why particularly in the music sector, this is not really, I can say it's not really happening yet in a way, like it's happening in very specific niches and very specific contexts. It's a big question, but why do you think it's like that?
I think, first of all, the music and copyright, to touch copyright, is like probably one of the oldest monopolies that we have on the planet. Like, it started with Mozart coming to Italy and listening to orchestras playing his stuff wrong. So he went to record and say, hey, you print? Yes. I give you my scores, you print copies, and you give me a percentage because I want them to play exactly what I wrote. And that's Ricordi, what we know, etc. The first copyright, basically house, in the publisher in the world. And since then, but also before, like from ancient Egypt, musicians have always been either at the bottom or at the top of the social scale. So in ancient Egypt, they were considered almost at the same level with medicine, with doctors, let's say. And you know, we had this bubble in the 20th century where we have high-paid artists, but that's an anomaly. Like, even Beethoven died giving fucking piano lessons. Like, he didn't die spoiled, he died poor, a teacher, basically. And this kind of relates with what Sergio from Eterna, which is decentralized storage, he gave a presentation on the adoption curve of blockchain. And we are now in a sort of stagnant, after the first hype, where people are a bit, you try to sell us this blockchain, but nothing is really working apart from your own DeFi stuff, etc. But it's just the calm before the storm, because in the hindsight, people are working to, the stack is there, the protocols are there, it's just, you just need to sew them together so that you create good products. Having said that, what you say, like this wedding cannot happen, I think that in the music business there's a whole heap of professionals who are deeply incompetent. And maybe they are failed musicians, which is even worse. Like it's hard to find musicians who give up in life. We always say that, like, okay, I'm giving up music this year, fuck it, etc. But then we keep doing it. Like maybe we fall in love and then we write an album about that particular person, whatever. So, but some people do give up, and in my experience in the past, it's like I always met so much rancor in their way they do business. Like, this is my podium, and I'm not letting anyone stand here to collaborate on things. It's a general attitude, at least in Italy, that I've noticed that it's very detrimental, to the point, and now I close, to the point that I give you an example of what we were talking about. In 2006, we had a single out in Italy that went on major networks, etc. And in order to push it, we relied on a local press agency that was promoting Verdena and all these indie groups, etc. And they asked us for a lot of money back at the time, for our pockets back at the time, etc. They gave our work, our job, our gig to the last of the entourage, how you call it, the trainee, like stagiaire, whatever. He fucked it up big time. He sent the wrong link with the wrong documents, so someone reviewed our records saying all different, and I said, I never wrote a cover of Eleanor Rigby by Beatles. So we called all the magazines and they said, is this your music? No, it's not. So we paid these people to get just, and we did it again, the album after, just by hand-picking free journalists that were friends of us, giving them royalties of our music on CIE, like when we deposit the music, and things were way better because we had a relationship with those people. So I think this is what Web3 has still a lot of power in, like to forget about the money for a moment, but consolidate and contractualize the relationship between what you create and all the help that can be given to you by people working in festivals, in magazines, on media outlets, stuff like that. So I still think that
cultural drivers, let's say.
Yeah, for me, this is how I operate as an artist, even off-chain. Like, this is now, I find the right people and I give them quotes on my music and they're happy, I'm happy, they do the work. I don't need a label, I have an entourage of friends, basically.
If I can relate to that because as a collective, we always work to project connecting people to what we create, and that's how people are engaged, or really engaged. Talking about music, but I think in general, creatives. I think that in the music industry are the musicians and artists that stays at the top, to understand that if they try to implement a new system of redistribution of the money, they will get more money than they have right now. So I don't know if it's understandable. I mean, if the top artists use new technologies, then the other artists use it too. And if the artists use the technologies, the people that listen to the music are more keen on use the technologies, and everything start as a plan. So I'm sono d'accordo. I mean, I agree. Thanks. I agree with Matteo on saying that the blockchain right now must work on branding. I mean, blockchain, Web3 in general must work on branding because the Web3,
those people,
those people. No, I love it. The Web3 must be the new interest of the artist before the people that have to use it. Yeah, before the audience. It's here.
I think that the problems are maybe two, because don't know if the people outside of here, so the world, is ready to use blockchain, because AI, it's simple to understand and to use. Blockchain is not so simple, and we, as actor of this ecosystem, maybe don't do our best to explain in a easy way how blockchain works, how blockchain can be used. So this is blockchain is hard, and we are not able to explain in an easy way. This is my opinion. No, but I think that you can agree.
Yeah,
Not totally, but
it's definitely a matter of language and communication in the end, for sure, on top of a series of, I guess, legal and financing and other obstacles that anyway, the way in which the current music industry is structured poses a lot of barriers beside the communication and the messages.
I think there's also a bottleneck in how people leave the web. Like we were more experimental in the early 2000s with all these peer-to-peer protocols like Napster, Nutella, Emule. Like so much stuff was small freewares that you could install to create something, etc. Now everyone, especially the audiences, are stuck into Instagram because of this selfie cult of showing off their own lives. So everyone is popular. Musicians are not popular anymore, just some people making noise somehow. I think, by the way, we are not considering what Web 2 is heading towards. Like Spotify is having problems. We'll be facing problems soon. First of all, on the storage thing, because they have 100,000 songs every day being uploaded. So at a certain, right now, I don't know if you're familiar with Spotify, the rules changed. So before it was progressive. So if I have free plays on my song, I get the equivalent of free plays in my wallet. Now, if I have less than 1,000 plays, I don't get anything. So all the money is accrued just for the top. So you see that they are changing the policies because they have to fine-tune certain stuff. Storage is the first thing. So maybe in the future, they will ask me, hey, Matteo, these people you have 200 plays on this song. Do you want to keep it up? Yes, it's 20 euros a month or something like that. Forget about it. And second is the payout system. That I think there was a moment in the last couple of years where between Greta Van Fleet, Billie Eilish, and I mean, Billie Eilish is also very popular on SoundCloud. That's her start platform, etc. And our rock band, I forgot, Maneskin, they hit billions of plays overnight or over a week, and Spotify didn't have the liquidity to honor the contract, that they had. So it's not that they are, armored somehow. I still see just like I saw it in the past, some applications that at a certain point start giving problems. So, maybe the stream falls down, maybe musicians leave because, of course, it's not valid to be on Spotify. It's not cool to be on Spotify anymore. So I think that will be just a natural, alarm clock at 5:40 for what? Sorry, myself. My past self reminded me to do stuff now. I don't know. But yeah, I forgot what I wanted to say, but yes, sorry.
No, it's definitely a system that has holes in the whole thing. So I'm sure, it's interesting to see how the technology can actually help fix them, because we are not in a moment in which everyone's happy on how things are, because everyone's complaining. Like when you go to music conference, it's usually like a bunch of people complaining about how things go. So there's definitely space for change.
Sorry, just one thing. I think there is also a political stance that Web3 at least for verticals. In this case, for example, the ticketing for music events and the IP. Web3 is sort of independent. We do collaboration, we do integrations, API, blah, blah, blah. But there is no such thing as, okay, let's build actually a cordata, an alliance to push at political level. For example, in Europe, now the copyright is open. So we are not supposed to have only one copyright bureau or agency per state. Now the market is open, and you can apply to the European court to say, hey, it's my right to collect copyright. But you need strength, you need political strength, you need legal strength. So I think that it's time, in order to break these monopolies and start using our products within the general system, to ally together into well-structured alliance with a strong legal department that go to Brussels and allow us to work. Because it's not possible that you cannot have a live music ticketing license just because there are those two actors in Italy and they are friends of the friends of the friends, etc. Come on, I mean, it's 2024, stop it. Yeah.
How's the challenge for you, Andrea, and how do you see that, overcoming that, or like entering this battle? Are you ready for that?
It's going to be fun, yeah. No, for sure there's going to need to be a lot of local governmental efforts in each country. But just going back to your point, aside from, and just using Spotify as an example of going back to the question around blockchain and music, what's even worse than the 1,000 stream minimum policy change is if I pay for Spotify Premium, right, and I listen the whole month, I listen to your songs, right, and I listen to one of your songs, right, and I pay 10 euros a month or something. Those 10 euros a month are not going to you. They're going to, they're just split equally across every other play from everyone else. And so that's a very, top-down approach. It's like, hey, we just siphon off all of the funds to the most popular artists and fuck you, basically. And so I think having a more bottoms-up, transparent way to interact and to, have that as the foundation, I think that's something that Web3 excels in. However, Web3 really tries to be too Web3 sometimes. In 2021, when you were talking about the big explosion of hype, and everyone was trying to do Web3 something, Web3 video, Web3 metaverse, Web3 whatever, and everything sucked. Like everything was really, really, really bad. I think the real problem is not that Web3 needs to change. I think Web3 needs to disappear behind the scenes. No one cares whether Facebook uses AWS or uses their own servers. No one cares that your website is hosted on Blogspot or whatever. We are too focused on shoving Web3 into people's faces, saying, hey, Web3, 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 Web3. And we need to step back and just accept, okay, there's some things that Web3 does very well, such as having a way to tokenize things, a way to distribute shares of things, like you also pioneered back in the day, a way to make things liquid, a way to have an immutable ledger that people can write to and read from, and no one can change it, so there's no central trusted entity required. Going back to the governmental aspects as well, right? You don't need to trust the government, you don't need to trust the CI or the IMPS, or the, Agenzia dell'Entrata, you can't trust the IMPS anyways. And so, and I think those are just, let's say, primitives that need to be there, but they need to be under the hood, and regular people shouldn't have to learn Web3, shouldn't have to learn about Web3. We shouldn't even have to teach it. They should just use it without realizing it. That's, I think, when we'll actually get people to use it.
I agree, but most of the time when you goes to the label or you make some type of they want to know how the things work to understand how the money goes to them. And that's why I said before that the artist must understand that, because the artist wants the fastest way to get the money, or to be sure that their rights and their copyrights are okay, and perform and be chilled when they create their music or their art. The other thing that you were saying is that when you have people using it and understanding it and creating a system where it's for everyone, then the problem are the old people that use. But if we create a system, a bottom-up system of users, then the people must make things work. I don't know. Also, the political thing. I mean, if everyone is saying we are using Web3, we want our copyright on there, and we have to create new rules, then of course it's utopia. But if everyone use something, then they have to create rules for that, like AI.
Yeah, that's why for sure adoption is definitely like the everything that then triggers political awareness and the lobbying and the market force, and yeah, that's definitely the challenge, I would say, of this whole. I just want to see if there's any question we accept any language for domande, questions here. Which would
Solution to what problem? Money for artists, audience falling apart because like there's so many problems, and also some, maybe they're like. Sorry. Yeah. Music is very self-referential. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which would have been my last question if there was no question from the audience. Like, what's the, okay, we saw the challenges and everything, like how do we overcome these barriers?
Yeah, also, I think that we went over time with the very last question, which was our relationship with AI-generated music, etc., which is part of the calculation, I think, because Suno is really good, actually, and it's really fun to use. Like, you write whole sort of shit, and it will do it for you, like Pavarotti singing black metal, or Pope Francis doing rap, or there's now an application, I think is a Suno feature where I can demo myself. Like when you just strum the guitar, you have like chorus, verse, and that's it. You give it to Suno, and she completes the whole thing. She basically plays yourself, playing the whole song 3 minutes instead of just 1 minute of demo. So I think that in time, we will see more and more AI stuff there, which is also a factor to consider, which is not bad for me. I think it will get rid of some trash music that we produce sometimes. So maybe that's an incentive to be better musicians, first of all. And again, I think it's the answer to that is product pulling. Like, we have the stack. The stack is there in Web3 to do everything we want. There's DeFi, there's IP, there's ticketing. The only thing is coming up with tooling solutions, very, very simple, like so that when Spotify start having the first hiccups and people are starting to leave Spotify, maybe you have the right product with the right brand, the right color, the right UX, UI, etc., where people will start migrating into. And maybe, again, they don't have to care about having a wallet. They just can log in. There's so many different account abstraction. There is biometric account abstraction. So basically, with your fingerprints, you can basically recreate the same wallet in every browser, and burner wallets. So again, I think it's just a matter of tooling. The problem is that everyone is trying to build robust foundations still, and there is not such thing as a Web3 Music Alliance, which would be really good, maybe, because we have the same scopes. And putting money together for legal departments to do the work in Brussels, that could be something. But yeah, there's no easy solution to a not easy identifiable problem, because people are still playing. There's a lot of emergent music, just not caring about money, just doing it. So for example, we do something in Ethereum in the Ethereum ecosystem, which is called open source orchestra. It's we have a representative here from Catania. We have the representative from Dublin, from ETHMilan, Caon, who's also a bass player. And what we do is basically at all Ethereum conferences, not here, unfortunately, but every one of us just brings some instruments, maybe a speaker, etc., and we jam. And we have developers jamming with us, and we record the stuff, we put it on chain, blah, blah, blah. And the stamina that there is behind this group is amazing. Like, we know that there's no money in it, but there are like, I don't know, maybe 100 people in the group, and there are at least 30 organizers, that wherever we go, we come up with something. So music is unstoppable. It's just to match the right demise, hopefully Web2 streaming platform, in the right time with the right simple adoption tool. It's evolutionary stuff that, you know. You want to start it? Let's start it? Okay.
Talking as an economic, but well, the strategy, in my opinion, for creating solutions, is first of all trying to start from little artists and working with their little communities, because if they are little artists, they can speak to their community more easily, and speaking more easily to their community is more understandable. That's the first one. Then I would start as a manager of those artists. I would start with implementing in their music career in general, to distribute music or to organize their event, to use the startups or the apps or the processes that are more easily to understand for him, for the artist, and for his community, to implement this type of connections and this type of users. And then in the moment he understands the way it works, and the fact that his property is his right, everything is on chain and everything is clear. That's the moment where it starts the process to makes people pay for his art, and then he understands that everything goes right and the money are there and not in the bank of the labels. And that's the way it starts. That's my thing.
No, but I totally agree. Like, it's really, it can sound naive, but it's not. Like connecting the actual words between like music industry, artists, and music labels, and live events organizers and stuff, and solutions provider, Web3 based products and services, like, is fundamental. So even if this could sound like the other panel about music and blockchain, like what's happening now, it's actually part of the solution in a way. It's like dialogue between like solution providers and potential adopters and market adopters. So what Federico is saying now, that way, I hope you do. I hope you do talk to your artists and managers and see, why don't you try to use, because that's the basic, like testing and piloting and starting to make the concrete change by little steps, and then of course lobbying, institutional, but like I think this is also very important, like the baby steps of adoption and dialogue between solution providers and users.
Yeah, there's also another case that will be a big fail in maybe 5 to 10 years time, which is the pension system in Italy. So INPS is statistically supposed to fail. So we are paying taxes that we will not receive as a pension. So there's a big talk. So imagine this as a music mirroring somehow. There will be a moment where the state will have to say, I'm sorry, Livio, you paid a lot of taxes and I don't have money to give you for your last years. So they will have to give you something, because otherwise you pick up a gun, you know, just like people are doing right now everywhere in the world. And with you, maybe other thousands of people. So there will be other value that is accrued and dispersed between the population. And this brings me to the fact that maybe one problem with Web3 is handling money. So people already has big troubles managing their internet banking. Like whenever you have to do the internet banking, I'm keeping Thursday free, I'm just doing this internet banking thing. Imagine having free wallets on 3 different apps. One is ZK, one is Ethereum, the other is MetaMask, then you have Rabbi, blah, blah, blah. And you have to move chains, you have to pay gas fees, etc. So this is another thing that we got accustomed to, and now we are sending crypto just like we do with our normal wallets. But for normal people, this is a big barrier. They don't want to, like money is a big taboo, and dealing with money is a problem. So maybe imagine a system where instead of releasing money as copyright or royalties, you release basically vouchers, where vouchers for public transportations, or vouchers for basket of goods, just like some blockchains are already doing, like Stellar. I think Stellar Lumens in Italy has a few startups that are using it, and there are economic districts, you know, like small towns together. They are an economic district. This is a thing in Italy. And if you visit as a tourist that district, they basically give you these tokens that you can reuse maybe at the bike shop in that town, maybe at the restaurant in that town. So you're not getting paid, but you're just using vouchers. And this is something that, for example, one blockchain is pushing a lot. Like, don't use transferable money, like legal tender, but accrue different kind of value. I think we're going into that. I think crypto itself is an innuendo towards money. Like, we are showing you that money can dissolve into nothingness at a certain point, and it will happen, possibly, with the music help, maybe at a certain point.
That's a positive note to end with, beside the pension fact. Is there one last, otherwise let's go get a beer, or... Okay, yeah, of course.
So the question is about major labels and their relationship with Web3, what they're doing. I remember hearing at LineCheck last year, this is also something interesting, like LineCheck is probably the biggest music tech venue in its conference in Italy, and also in Europe to some extent. And there was not one talk, maybe every 3 talks, there was one talk, one panel that Web3 was mentioned in a way or another. Even the CEO of Universal, he mentioned NFTs and DeFi, etc., in a very foggy, blurry way, the things that he knew, something. But I think they're reaching the year, they're trying to understand. The problem is that there is such a stack change behind that would require a whole stop and go, like a pit stop moment where they have to probably change a whole system. It's too wired to be changed, I think. They do NFTs, but in a different... okay. But something that is amazing is that internet doesn't belong to anyone. Like we have protocols like WebRTC where you can just I can just stream stuff to him. Like there's so much open source. Internet is basically open source. And then on top of that, we created these Molochs that control every industry, tourism, peer-to-peer tourism, peer-to-peer music, streaming music, stuff like that, etc., socials. But the internet itself allows for peer-to-peer communication. So it's just a matter of building it and be recognized to do it so that we can create value that can be transferred.
I think the harsh reality is the reasons why you and we all want big labels to adopt blockchain are not going to be the reasons why big labels adopt blockchain. Because they're never going to do anything that reduces their control or power over what they have. They're never going to do anything that reduces the profits and just revenue that they get. So it's more likely to be a cash grab than it is to be an actual revolution in terms of empowering everyone. And so I really agree with you where it's like it has to start from the bottom. Like there needs to be new labels being created that start from independent authors that end up competing with the big ones, and then they'll battle it out, right? I think that's the only way. The only conceivable way to change a big company is to show them there's a better way, and you can't convince them by having them sacrifice stuff. I know it's a very cynical view, but I think it's the more realistic.
I agree with that. Okay. I'd like to thank a lot the speakers and the organizer for having this conversation here. Again, from the 18th to the 23rd of November, we are hosting a Line Check Music Meeting and Festival in Base, Milano, where we are going to have way more talks about that. We are now presenting a little DJ set and showcase, so if you want to stay, that would be really nice. And thanks for staying so long, actually, and it was really nice to chat with you guys.